Hello. Child, today is, I believe, day 76 of Trial by Attrition. Why am I writing? Okay. I'm clearly pretty bad at I'm slow right now. I am not quite put together right now. My sleep schedule hasn't been the greatest. I've been... It's partly because of the different time zone. Partly because I'm still messed up from flight cycle, but I definitely need to sleep earlier. Is what I'm I am driving at. So that's that. There are lots of things I need to do. Organizing things. I don't recall if I mentioned it, but my parents reorganized my room. Very annoying, touched my stuff. They obviously did their best, but someone else's best is never going to be good when good is qualified by your own tastes and not an objective metric. I need to organize room. No, I have not completed organizing it. It's pretty much done. It's just small items that need rearrangement. I think a bigger project of organization would probably occur over sometime when I'm at home for a break of more than a couple of weeks. Anything else? Nothing. Novel or interesting to report. I suppose then, to elaborate on what's happened to the room, my bookshelf got removed. It got replaced with two smaller bookshelves that combined exceed the capacity of the old one, the old bookshelf. And my desk got replaced with a healthier stand-up mode, sit-down mode desk, which honestly, that's good, because I needed something like that. Because the elevations I was writing and doing work at and using wasn't it wasn't comfortable. It kind of hurt at times. It was kind of inconvenient, especially since the chair I'm using only has two more or less only has two height configurations, tallest and shortest. So having a table that can adjust on a continuous gradient is really convenient and actually quite nice. I suppose I should have made note of that in today's entry, but I kind of don't feel like doing it because I don't deem that novel. Well, it's novel, I don't deem it interesting enough. Especially since I have no plans to showcase the stuff. Instead of using the time to talk to just show you the setup, instead I am displaying a complete lack of activity on screen. Whoops. Since this is the case, I think I might just end up going to not going back, just closing out with my daily practice. So I think we'll just do that. And hopefully it doesn't take too long. But expecting the worst. Means being prepared optimally. Today we are implementing our 3 in a row approach. We need to hit a hat trick on each letter twice before I am satisfied and we'll move on. Now, these do not need to be contiguous, but they can be contiguous. In essence, a streak of 6 would suffice for moving on. But what this does is this encourages upholding of quality writing between, I suppose, quote-unquote on sessions. For example, well, I can't use it as an example anymore. I almost thought we'd actually somewhat make it through the first 3 letters of C rather well. But as you are aware at this point, I think, if you've been keeping up, you would be aware that I am a stickler about curves. If they do not satisfy a certain threshold, I do not accept them. For example, zooming up, you can see that what I end up doing is I end up creating a sort of, I don't even know the official term for it, but I'm creating quasi-corners inside my curves. And I don't want that because I feel that that's actually suboptimal. Because it doesn't imply one continuous stroke, it implies choppiness, which I suppose would be opposition of the graphite in the paper, which implies a sense of stopping or small time lost. And in my head, this kind of works out to become a sort of dike scenario where we, what do you call it? Where the corner is kind of like the dike in that it's trying to prevent the water which refers to, I suppose, the choppiness of the letter from overflowing and taking over the letter entirely. But in turn, if it gets really bad, the letter turns out to collapse entirely. I believe we already have a 3 streak. So I'm trying to find another one. It's tough. To be fair, the letter C is not my biggest concern. I do have a threshold where I will accept the tiniest of those affectations, but otherwise I try to make them as clean as possible. Because if the threshold is too high, no quote-unquote progress will be made in terms of moving on to other letters. But too low of a threshold just runs the risk of not inducing any improvement whatsoever. I think I like yapping a little too much. I know what I'm saying. I know that in my head it makes sense. I don't know if it's correct. So I apologize if you have to be hearing this. Or maybe you want to be hearing it. Or maybe you don't care because you're asleep. Maybe this is a video for sleeping. I am unsure. Maybe they have devolved, or not devolved. That doesn't seem that does not seem quite an apt description, but definitely I don't know nor think it's what I would have expected. In any case, these videos have become far too large to... No, what am I saying? That's wrong, what I was thinking. I was about to say that reviewing these videos would be nigh impossible just because of their time length, but honestly, even just a couple minutes of watch back would probably be indicative of the whole, because unless there's some magical spontaneous collapse in my usual flow, whether in the positive direction where I become coherent and articulate myself well, or if I just end up becoming silent and all my letters just go terribly wrong. A sample will be indicative of the entire population, where the sample is a few seconds and the population is the video. And then I can try and improve from there. Am I ready to do that mentally? That's a different question entirely, and probably the better one to have asked, for which I have no answer to. So we move on. I think that's number 1. Hat trick 1. Imagine needing to do a hat trick of hat tricks. I should also try writing them a little bit faster. Because I think I'm writing them too slow to actually register any of the errors I make during faster speeds. I'm like, there's a practice here of getting better that needs to happen. And by stagnating in an environment that does not replicate actual conditions of writing, will very likely not result in improvement in the direct field I want to improve in. So for example, if I'm writing slow and deliberately planning out every stroke, I would be practicing a very, very low form of calligraphy, which is not what I'm practicing. Practicing how to write. Even so, I still need to pay attention to quality and make sure the letters don't fall apart quality-wise. For example, the E's all have edges, all have protrusions tapering upward. That should not happen. That is lazy, bad practice, and because I'm still not even at full speed, there's the potential for them to utterly backfire and somehow taper vertically and then just become very unattractive and difficult to read. I want to pretend that I've gotten better, but it's just blatantly clear from my practicing that I've essentially stagnated. I'm not unsure of what exactly needs to change, and I've been changing the way I practice. But unfortunately, I think whatever's going on here is probably will be where I'm at for a very long while, unless I get some tool to assist me away from these bad habits that my hand has unconsciously imported. It's so annoying to me. Genuinely. That's a silly rant, though. Sorry. I almost would have accepted that as the first hat trick, but I cannot, in good faith, accept that final rendition of the letter E. This is so bad. Like at full speed, you can see the issues that arise. It's mainly the middle, so I think just need to pay the most attention to that segment. But the issue is it requires full focus in all segments. Don't curve. That's lazy. I apologize if you hear any background sounds going on. Still tapering upwards. Do I really have to accept this? Kinda do. I don't really have a choice. Way below my threshold of satisfaction, but it has to be my threshold for acceptance. Because we are not going to be moving from this letter for a very long time. Even with such generous leeway. Meh. That is so interesting. I guess H might be, actually a problem letter, like a polar problem letter, as in it contributes to a problem suffered by other letters. So with E and F, the middle, I need to deliberately try to aim downwards to make the letter go, to make the middle protrusion line segment go sideways, horizontally. However, with the letter H, that does not seem to be so much the case. If I try to aim horizontally, yes, there's a slight taper, but if I try to aim downwards, that happens. So the letter H needs extreme deliberation. In order for genuine horizontal marks to be made. And that's not counting the difficulty of interspersing these between two vertical lines. If it was all the same motion, I could just practice the one motion. But it's two separate motions that work against each other, making the entire construction more difficult as a whole. Very difficult. We're going to assume a hat trick has occurred in these 5. One thing you will notice is that I'm not so concerned about keeping the size of the letters constant. I have no clue if this negatively impacts my writing overall. I just don't know. I should know, but I don't. I don't feel like looking it up right now, but I definitely need to remember to look into it, because if such a thing is negatively impacting the ultimate quality of my writing, then definitely needs to be something I'm mindful of. Because I'm not mindful about it right now. So I would need to change what I'm doing right now. Okay, my pencil grip is deteriorating. I just noticed that. That's annoying. Sorry. It kind of hurts a little bit. I need to take probably a break because I don't want to injure my hands. Okay. Onwards. I'm probably also pressing way too hard. Ow. Sorry, I just... One thing that might be beneficial is the fact that I am not using a hand to anchor to the page. I have definitely said this before, but it's popped into my head again. I genuinely think that perhaps my writing will be better for when I am able to place a supporting hand. Or maybe that's just me coping. Perfectly possible. That's today's work. Very blurry. Helter Skelter, but yeah. Have a good one.